Hi, John with eTrailer. If you are looking to flat tow your Jeep Gladiator, this is a great kit. Today we are going to be taking a look at and installing the Roadmaster Direct-Connect base plate kit on a 2022 Jeep Gladiator. Now the base plate is going to give you the connection that you need to safely flat tow your vehicle down the road when it's connected to your RV. Now with flat towing, there are 5 components that you need to be able to flat tow down the road. Of course, you need the base plate. That's going to be the physical connection on your vehicle to allow the hookups that you need. You're going to need a supplemental braking system, whether that's a portable system or a permanently installed system on your towed vehicle. That's going to allow for a safer and legal stopping experience. You're going to need a tow bar. This is going to be the physical connection between your RV and your tow vehicle. You're going to need your tow bar wiring. This is going to transmit all the electrical signals, your turn signals, marker lights, all your braking information that you need through this cord. And of course, the last component is going to be the safety cables. In the unlikely event that one of these parts fails, this will keep your towed vehicle safely behind your tow vehicle. Okay, so let's say you get to your destination and it's raining and you really don't want to be out here and you want to disconnect everything. This is one of the reasons I like this kit. It just comes out very quickly. Your safety chains, your tow bar wiring, now your arms come right out and it's left with a clean look. I really like the way that this fits these Jeep Gladiators. Now, as far as install goes, it wasn't too bad. I'm going to say it's intermediate. There's some drilling that you need to do, but it's absolutely doable in your garage. If you want to see how we did it, we got some tips and tricks. Stick around. Okay, so to begin our installation here, we're going to be removing the front bumper. And the first step we want to do is come over to the passenger side and we're going to disconnect the front fog light. Just go ahead and press on the tab here and it'll separate. Next we'll come up to the top of the bumper up here. There's going to be 2 plastic fasteners here. You can just use a flathead screwdriver and we're going to go ahead and you pop the middle up and you should be able to get the bottom up after that. If the middle comes out, it's okay. It just goes right back in. Like so. We'll set that off to the side. And we'll do this one on the driver's side. Next, we're going to go ahead and remove the front skid plate here. Now, this could vary depending on your model of Gladiator. For this particular one, we have a 13 millimeter socket. We'll go ahead and get this off. We'll go ahead and set this off to the side. Next, we're going to come underneath the car and we're going to look at the front of the bumper from underneath. You're going to have 4 18 millimeter nuts, 2 on this side, 2 on the other side, and the exact same setup on the driver's side. We'll go ahead. I have an 18 millimeter socket. You can either use a universal or a wobble extension, and then our long extension here just to get to these guys. They're tucked up in there quite a bit. We'll get these loosened up. We'll go ahead and repeat this on the other side. Okay, with the nuts removed from underneath, we're going to go ahead and actually physically pull the bumper off now. Now, when we disconnected the fog lights over here, that actually did both of them. These fog lights are connected in parallel, so you don't have to worry about a connector on the driver's side. So just go ahead and grab your bumper. You may just have to work it off a little bit. They want to stick on there. And go ahead and set this off to the side. Okay, our next step, we're going to be drilling into the frame. We'll go over here on the driver's side, and I've indicated 2 holes here. Next, we're going to go ahead and fit up our base plate. Now, these are side specific. This is going to be the driver's side. The safety chain tab is going to go towards the inside or center of the vehicle. So we know we have the right side here. Go ahead and put this up here. And they kind of go in at an angle. And I noticed that we were having an interference right here with this tab, so I'm going to try to hit it with a plastic hammer here and see if we can get up past this. Some vehicle frames, some of the Jeep frames don't have these. This one does. So we can see where we're hitting with the base plate. I'm just going to go ahead, and I have a small cutoff wheel on my Dremel. I'm going to cut just the tip of that off there so we can hopefully get the base plate up past that. So we're really having a tough time with the tolerances on this base plate here. It is super tight, and I've been hammering on the bottom. Got a pry bar here also. This is helping me out quite a bit. Just go ahead, and I'm leveraging against the frame. And that's getting it up where we need to get to. What we're looking for is these factory bolts that we put out. We're trying to line up the base plate with those. So, like I said, ours is giving us a heck of a time. Okay, so we have it pretty well lined up. We had to use a hammer and a pry bar, everything we need to do to get this lined up here. So we're going to take the big bolts that came with our kit. We'll take a flat washer and then one of these 1/2-inch washers. And this will come in from the outside of the frame. These large 1/2-inch washers go on the inside here. Come through the frame. Another 1/2-inch washer on the inside. And a flat washer, lock washer. And the nut right now that we're going to go loose on right now. We're going to end up coming back with red Loctite on these fasteners. Then we'll grab another large bolt with a washer. And we're going to be doing the same thing, except there's not going to be a thick washer in here. We'll come down through this hole here. And again, flat washer, lock washer. Now the Loctite is not included in the kit, and you do need it. This can be bought either here at etrailer, or you can pick it up at an auto parts store. So the last bolt we're going to put in this location here. If it doesn't line up, keep everything finger tight and just wedge it or hammer it so that you line the hole up right there. We're going to already have red Loctite applied to this. We'll go ahead and slip on the split washer and a flat washer, and we're going to be sliding this up inside the frame. As you can see, this is a wire nut welded to it. I have a slight bend to it just to make life a little bit easier. These things can get kind of finicky sometimes. So we're going to go in, and the idea is to line these babies up, which is easier said than done sometimes. Looks like we got it. We'll go ahead and torque these bolts to the specifications outlined in the installation manual. I have a 19mm socket, 19mm wrench here. Now, just a quick tip here. With the front bumper mounting holes, before you go and tighten these down, in case they're not lined up, you can take a pry bar tool like this and just make sure that everything is relatively lined up here. Remember, the bumper studs are going to be coming in here. So ours happened to be lined up anyway once we had everything in place, but just something to check before you go and snug everything up. Now, on the passenger side, it's the same idea, but we have to execute this a little bit differently, mainly because this top hole up here doesn't exist on the frame, so we're going to have to drill this. So I went ahead and mocked up the base plate on this passenger side here, just to give us use as a template. I went ahead and tightened this bolt down, not super snug, but snug enough, along with the factory bolt holes. And now we can go ahead and see where we need to drill. I've also got my pry bar here as a locator in the front just to keep everything square. Looks like we got it. We'll go ahead and torque these bolts. Now before we put our bumper back on, we're going to come back down to the wire nuts here that have this, and these things just need to come off. You can either grab them, try to break them off like that, or you can get some snips or something like that. Basically, we just want these out of the way. So we can just cut that, and we'll just tuck it up out of the way so nobody gets hurt. Our next step is actually to replace the bumper. Now we're going to be lining up the studs on the bumper with the holes on the frame here. Just take your time. Make sure you don't pinch the fog light harness. And go ahead and snug up the hardware. Now our next step, we're going to want to mock up our rock guard or skid plates. To do that, we're going to have to get the brackets back on temporarily right now. And they are side specific, so make sure you've got the right size. Remember, these just bolt up right here to the frame. Now since our base plate is installed, we'll only be able to screw the skid plate into the bottom mounts on either side for right now, but that will get us along at least to hold the skid plate up here so we can mark it off. Our next step is going to be trimming the rock guard here, the skid plate. Now in the directions, it's pretty vague because you have so many different variations of the Jeep. You could have a plastic skid guard down here, metal bumper. In our case, we have a plastic bumper and a metal skid guard. So just to be on the safe side, we went ahead and mocked the skid plate up right here, and just judging off of where the points are on the new base plate, where we have to cut and come down. And we used the directions as a reference, but we're going to go ahead and cut this whole section out on each side. And if we have to do some trimming later, that's fine. Okay, with the skid plate removed, before we mount it back up, we want to make sure that we snug up the 4 bolts for the rock guard mount. And there's no torque spec on this, it's just make sure they're snug. Now this kit does come with additional brackets for the rock guard, since the base plate is going to interfere with the factory ones. So these are side specific. They're going to be, it's not too hard to figure out, but we're on the driver's side here, and the angle is like this, and it comes out towards the vehicle. And they will mount to the rock guard mounts that we just got done tightening down. Now it comes with the supplied hardware. It's a 1-inch Phillips head screw, lock nut, and a flat washer. And there'll be 2 of these per side. And you'll want to use a number 3 Phillips head. That's the big Phillips head screwdriver to tighten these down. Now I'm using the existing hardware that came with the skid plate to mount it back to the Jeep here. Now for the back of the rock guard with our new braces, we're still going to be using the existing bolts that came with it, but the kit is going to come with some hardware here, the flat washers, the lock washers, and the nuts. So with our new mounts that we have up here, slide the bolt through, and then we'll do a flat washer, then a lock washer, and then secure it with the nut. And this hardware is 13 millimeter. Go ahead and repeat that on the passenger side. Now, as far as the base plate installation goes, that's pretty much it. Now, don't forget your little plastic push pins that go in top of the bumper here, and don't forget to hook up your fog lights on this side. Now, if you're going to be doing any type of wiring, like diode wiring or flat toe wiring, this kit does include a bracket for your harness and your connectors and everything else. We just chose not to put it on yet. If you want to see how the installation is done on a Gladiator, we have a video on this particular vehicle showing it. And that's it for our look at the Roadmaster Direct-Connect base plate kit on the 2022 Jeep Gladiator.